As you can see, the apocalypse is coming along very nicely, as this actually used to be San Francisco, but now it's just a towering ball of flames. I don't know if you can see behind me here, but that is the Golden Gate Bridge after collapsing, and just smoke everywhere from all the cars on it. So yeah, I hope you're doing okay out there, but I'm probably speaking to no one because the world is dead. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Car Nerd Talks, where I've been isolated away from test driving actual cars. So instead, I'm ranting on my roof. It's great. As you can see, the apocalypse is coming along very nicely, as this actually used to be San Francisco, but now it's just a towering ball of flames. I don't know if you can see behind me here, but that is the Golden Gate Bridge after collapsing, and just smoke everywhere from all the cars on it. So yeah, I hope you're doing okay out there, but I'm probably speaking to no one because the world is dead. But more important than all of that, what I want to talk to you about today is the Ferrari 458, my favorite Ferrari of all time. So before I do, don't forget to like and subscribe, because YouTube algorithm has to do like things and stuff. It's very technical and I won't bore you with it, but basically the algorithm has to, no, it's not important. So yeah, like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. And as always, I'll be posting these to drivetribe.com straight after it's uploaded. So let's get into it. So my favorite Ferrari of all time is definitely the 458, and it's not the most powerful. It's not the biggest Ferrari. It's probably not the most beautiful Ferrari ever, but that's what I find. I think it's the most beautiful Ferrari ever, and there's a few reasons for that. But I think the day that I fell in love with it was I was watching Top Gear years ago when it first came out. I think it was 2015. And basically Jeremy Clarkson did his hilarious sketch where he had James May's 430, and he had the 458, and James May had asked him whether it's true or not to drive it quickly or get it dirty or anything. And being very James May, you could even see like the plastic was still on the windows and stuff. Ridiculous car. And I ranted actually the last time I was talking about the 575 about how I didn't like the 430. I think it looks a bit, a little bit like a kid's toy or something. It looks like a car from the movie Cars, just a little smiley, and I think I said special needs the last time, but it's good. I don't have a lot of followers yet, so I haven't gotten in trouble for that, which is great. So 458 came out, there was a few distinctions which made me love it. So first was they had got rid of the goofy cars headlights and gone for something really aggressive. So they had the aggressive LEDs at the front, the scoops and everything, but it was very minimalist. It just looked aggressive and minimal. At the back, they had actually removed the double tail lights, which were a big thing on that lineup of Ferraris since I think the 60s. Because if you look at the Le Mans racers in the 60s, it had that dual round rear lights. And everything up to the F430, 360, 355, the bulk of them, I think the 575 as well. Pretty much every Ferrari predating that had those round headlights at the back. Now, this still had its round headlights, but it just had one with kind of a black scoop kind of looking gizmo. You'll see it in the image right now. Yeah, that image right there. See how it's got like the black intakes, but they're like outtakes, but I don't even know if they function actually, but yeah, around the circle. Just looks really cool. The side, like the scoops along it and everything, just fantastic looking car. Way more aggressive than anything Ferrari had made before. And something about that just made me think to myself, I'm like, if I had one of these in future, I would love to just go to the local convent and just attack nuns with this 458, because that's what it's built for, attacking nuns. These things. So anyway, in terms of all that, the car itself was gorgeous, aggressive, everything beautiful. But then the performance figures as well. 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. Now I know that's probably going to be on par with like a Tesla these days, but this that's very quick, especially for the baby Ferrari. Because bear in mind, this was the cheapest Ferrari in the lineup, and it would still hit 211 miles an hour. And as you can see in the clip where Jeremy is racing it, against James May's 430, it absolutely blitzed it. The 430 I think was 4.1 seconds or something to 60, and 210 miles an hour or some close enough figure, but it just blitzed it off the line. And the reason for that actually was, as far as I know, the launch control and the clutch would cause a problem, because basically launch control on the 430, that was very early launch control, and it was very early times to have that sort of thing. And the 430 as well was the first car to in that range not to offer a manual, so you were stuck with the flappy paddle, coined by Clarkson actually, flappy paddle. And the flappy paddles now on cars are fantastic, but on the older cars they weren't great because it was a single clutch. So what happened with the 458 is it had the double clutch system, which had come in a few years earlier for certain supercars and hypercars and whatnot. So they had this clutch where you change gear, and obviously that's working with one clutch, and the second clutch is then lining up the next gear, and it's predicting what you're going to do. So it's always kind of lined up both, and it works really, really well. Whereas the launch control in the F430 didn't have the double clutch, so it would just kind of knacker the clutch and also just essentially not get you anywhere quickly. So the 430 quick car, but the 458 would kill it in a straight line, also in the corners. And the interior of the 458 was just gorgeous as well, just beautifully made, and just beautifully designed. Everything about this car was just super sexy. The engine itself, obviously this being the baby Ferrari lineup, it came with a V8, so this was a 4.5 litre V8, 4,497 cc's of displacement. Actually it was the same engine that was in the Mercedes SLS AMG. However, it was tuned differently. So I don't know whether that was a joint venture or whether Ferrari sold the engine, but essentially the engine ended up in both of these cars. But incredible engine. But the 458 was a little bit lighter than the SLS AMG, so I'm pretty sure it would kill it in a straight race or even on a racetrack, because Mercedes AMG team are fantastic at tuning cars, but nobody beats Ferraris when it comes to their V8s. They're not like the V8s you get in America, where it's just pure brunt and power. These are very, cleverly tuned V8s and do really well on the track. One of the things that is very funny about the Ferraris of this era, I'm not sure if the latest ones have it. Like I don't know if the F8 Tribune that we'll be talking about next week has it, but when you sit in this thing, right, it's very comfortable. It's got that typical Ferrari kind of styling, but it's when I sat in one in Germany, I found that it was comfortable, and I felt like you could go for a long drive in this, which is not normally something you'd do in that. If you wanted that, you'd buy a Porsche 911. But this is very comfortable. The only problem with these cars is, one, they have the controls on the steering wheel, so the controls are now upside down when I'm in full lock. But you hear people say that a lot, but how often are you indicating in full lock? I mean, if you're indicating in full lock, you're probably not driving very well, so it's not a huge issue. But one of the big issues is, with this car, the GPS screen is basically in the dash, which is really cool, because you don't need to take your eyes off the screen as you're driving. It's just right here. But the problem with it is, when you turn the GPS on, the tachometer goes off. Or not the tachometer, sorry, the speedometer is here. So you've got your tachometer in the middle, say your revs. So you're hitting 9,000 RPM on the way up the A123 to Hemel Hempstead. But you don't know how fast you're going. So that was a bit of a weird choice by Ferrari, and I don't quite understand why they decided to go there, but it's just one of the quirks. But yeah, the Ferrari 458, definitely by far and away my favorite Ferrari, and if I ever have a couple $100 to spare, it'll be the first thing I go out and buy. Just a fantastic car, and I love it to bits. So tell me in the comments, either on YouTube here or on Drivetribe, what you would call your favorite Ferrari. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for another car nerd rant, and hopefully these are getting better. But if they're not, they're getting worse. And there's a like and dislike button, so you can use either. You can tell me to fuck off if you want. It's your decision.
Have you liked and subscribed yet? Have you done it yet? No? Still nothing? How about now?